want to start by reading this quote from the book called The Self-Aware Universe by Amit Goswami. Quote, "If initial conditions do not forever determine an object's motion, if instead every time we observe there is a new beginning, then the world is creative at the base level." Let's percolate that one for a bit, shall we, before we dive in? So, let's say this crown is your consciousness. You know what you want, where you're going, and what you want to do. You have clear ideas of what you want in life and what you don't want. Let's say that this butler is your subconscious, which is literally at your service. As the crown, your butler will make sure that you have whatever it is that you want at any time. Here's the key. Your butler is completely judgment-free. Your butler is simply programmed to do exactly as you say. There's no evaluation, there's no eyebrow raising, no questioning your decision. There's also no cheering you on or motivating you to do it right or better. The butler simply delivers whatever you ask for. And both the crown and the butler live in a bigger system, the universe, the creative intelligence, if you will. So how do we get crown to have butler deliver more of the things you want and fewer of the things you no longer need? We've talked about the answer to life in section 4. Ask for what you want, take what you get, and then ask again. So let's break this down a little bit further and delve deeper into what this means. Let's start with ask for what you want. Let's suppose for the moment that we subscribe to the belief that this is a mirroring universe, that everything is reflected and refracted back to us, and that our inner landscape is a reflection of our external environment. If we further choose to believe that this is a taking activated universe, then when we focus our thoughts on what we want, stand up for ourselves, communicate our boundaries, and ask for our needs to be met in a way that's respectful and honorable, then we are in fact taking what we want by communicating clearly what works for us. When we communicate clearly to ourselves, others, and the world around us, we're telling the universe what we want. We're saying yes. And the universe hands us more of what we're saying yes to. When we communicate clearly to ourselves, others, and the world around us, what we don't want, we're actually telling the universe what we don't want. We're saying no, and the universe hands us more of what we don't want. Yep, that's right, because when we stay focused on anything, that is communicating to the universe that we want more of what we're focused on. You can think of focusing as the act of taking or reaching toward. The expression, energy flows where attention goes, is quite appropriate here. Take what you get. Have you noticed that when you wish for something, when it does finally happen, it may often happen after a period of time, like a few hours, weeks, months, or years later? In the movie The Secret, they talked about how when you think a thought, like wanting a new car, it doesn't instantaneously manifest. If I recall correctly, their reasoning was that you had to be sure. So if you had a thought like having an elephant in your living room and it happened instantaneously, then it would be a bad thing. Perhaps I'm not articulating their concept accurately. For me, the answer is time delay. Like all laws of nature, there are also laws of the universe, and one of them is in fact related to time delay. This concept is based on holonics, which is simply defined as systems within systems. So for example, an atom is a system. It contains a nucleus mixed in with protons and neutrons and surrounded by electrons. A molecule is a system that groups atoms. A cell is a system of molecules. The organs in our body are made up of a system of cells. Our body is a system of organs. This is holonics, systems contained within systems. In other words, and very simply put, everything in the universe is interrelated and interconnected. So how does this time delay concept work, you might be thinking at this point? Well, everything needs its own time to develop and reach a particular stage. So for example, let's say you recently applied for a job. To set up the interview, they had to check the schedule of all those involved, and sometimes that can be really tricky. That is time delay, waiting on others. And they wanted to do a background check, time delay, waiting on others. And then you got the job, but they asked you to start in 2 weeks because they needed to set up your laptop and work area. Again, time delay, waiting on others. Everything has its own time delay, and everything is waiting on everything else. Keeping in mind that if time delay is working with everything, that would also include beliefs passed down ancestrally, as well as your own beliefs from younger versions of yourself that you may not yet be aware of. Ask again. So you focused your attention and patiently waited, and what arrived wasn't exactly what you wanted. Great! Then you get to ask again. How awesome is that? This part is the secret sauce. The wave-particle duality theory states, well, it might make more sense to have you watch the YouTube video and then come back to this. So you can go to YouTube and Google wave-particle duality theory and maybe come back to this section when you're complete. But for all intents and purposes, I'm going to continue. Now, we know that being the observer is key. So let's go back to what showed up for you that wasn't exactly what you wanted. Remember when you said yes to something? This is what's happening. Your focus, your attention is edifying the wave to shift into particles so that your thoughts manifest. Notice how it's exactly the same with you when you say no to something. Either you don't want to have happen, or that already has happened that you no longer want. It simply gets stronger. The way in which we shift particle back into wave so that you can choose again is simply by observing. When was the last time you observed something? When was the last time that you observed something without judgment? Well, that's the stance of the observer. Saying okay. Not saying it's okay, because when we say it's okay, there's an element of, even though I'm not fully on board with this, I'll still go along with it. So for me, there's an element of maybe defeatism, kind of, caving in when we say it's okay. You have to get to a place of being completely neutral, clear of any judgment or evaluation. Saying okay means you consent to the experience. Not that you condone it, but that you consent to it. This means that even if things are super yucky, you still say, okay, I fully embrace that which is. Notice what happens to the wave when you start to say, okay. The wave starts to collapse. This simple step invites you to discreate the reality you have and invites the opportunity to recreate the reality you want. When you choose to step into being in relationship with that which is and step out of needing to be right, so many more possibilities open up for you, rather than just the ones you don't want. When you step into being in relationship with that which is and step out of needing to be right, so many more possibilities open up for you, rather than just the ones you don't want. So do the consenting exercise to help you practice shifting from what you have that you don't want to that which you do want.